Dear students, in last class we discussed static shielding and then we have solved a problem on grading of units. Today I will take up a problem on static shielding. Dear students, in last class we have solved one problem on grading of the units. Today I will take up a problem on static shielding of string insulators to improve the efficiency. Each line of a three-phase system is suspended by a string of three identical insulators of self-capacitance C farad. The capacitance of connecting metalwork of each insulator is 0.2 capital C to earth and 0.1 capital C to line. Here 0.2 C and 0.1 C means 0.2 times capital C and 0.1 times capital C. Calculate the string efficiency of the system. If a guard ring increases the capacitance to the line of metalwork of the lowest insulator to 0.3 times capital C. Now we will draw a relevant figure for it. Yes, now you can see here various capacitors and guard ring, also the currents flowing through various capacitors. Now to find the voltage across each unit, we will apply KCL to the junctions here. Let us call this junction as A and this junction as here B. At junction A, by KCL, sum of incoming currents must be equal to sum of outgoing currents, that is capital I1 plus small I1 is equal to I2 plus capital I1 dash. I1 is the current flowing through the capacitance between the link pin and the cross arm, and that is given by voltage across 0.2 C capacitor here into omega C. Since this first 0.2 C capacitor is connected in parallel with the first insulator unit, the voltage across 0.2 C capacitor will be equal to V1. So we can write this as V1 omega C plus current through capacitor C is voltage across capacitor C into omega C. Voltage across capacitor C is capital V1. So V1 omega C equal to I2. I2 is current through second capacitor C from the top, voltage across the second capacitor is capital V2. So current I2 here is equal to V2 into omega C plus I1 dash. Voltage across point 1C capacitor is V1 plus V2 because it is connected between A and the conductor. The voltage across B and conductor, the voltage across point B and conductor is V3. Therefore, voltage across A and power conductor will be equal to V2 plus V3. So, V2 plus V3 into omega into C. Please make a correction here. Capital I1 is flowing through point 2C. So I will include here point 2, and current denoted by small letter I1 is flowing through C. So it will be capital C only. Small I2 is also flowing through C. So there will be no change. I1 dash is flowing through point 1C. So I will include here 0.1 in bracket. Okay. Adding these two we get 1.2 V1 omega C and 1.1 V2 omega C plus V3 into omega C into 0.1. Simplifying for V3 we get, before that we can even cancel omega C. Simplifying for V3 we get 1.2 V1 minus 1.1 V2 divided by 0.1, or we can write it as 12 V1 minus 11 V2 equal to V3, and let us call this as equation 1. Now we will apply KCL to junction B. At junction B, by KCL we can write capital I2 plus small I2 equal to I3 plus capital I2 dash. Capital I2 is current through point 2C. Voltage across point 2C is V1 plus V2. So V1 plus V2 into omega into 0.2C plus small I2. Current I2 is V2 into omega C. that is equal to I3 plus capital I2 dash. I3 is V3 into omega c plus I2 dash. I2 dash is equal to voltage across point 3C into omega c. Since point 3C is connected in parallel between conductor and point B, since point 3C is connected between conductor and point B, voltage across third capacitor C here and point 3C will be same, and that will be equal to V3. So V3 into point 3C into omega. Once again we will simplify this equation. Point 2 V1 omega c plus 1.2 V2 omega c equal to 1.3 V3 omega c. Cancelling omega c and omega c on LHS and RHS, we get 1.3 times V3 equal to 0.2 times V1 plus 1.2 times V2. Or we can write V3 equal to 0.2 times V1 plus 1.2 times V2 divided by 1.3. Let us call this as equation 2. Now we will equate equation 1 and 2 because both are written for voltage V3. Twelve V1 minus 11 V2 equal to 1 upon 1.3 into the bracket 0.2 V1 plus 1.2 V2. Now simplifying, 12 into 1.3 plus 12 into 1.3 V1 minus 11 into 1.3 V2, that is equal to 0.2 V1 plus 1.2 V2. 15.6 V1 minus 0.2 V1 equal to 1.2 V2 plus 14.3 V2. Simplifying, we get 15.4 V1 equal to 15.5 V2. V2 is equal to 15.4 by 15.5 times V1, that is equal to 0.993 V1. Substituting V2 equal to 0.993 V1 in equation 1, we get V3 equal to 12 V1 minus 11 into 0.993 V1. On simplification, we get V3 equal to 1.077 V1. Voltage between conductor and earth is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, that is V1 plus 0.993 V1 plus 1.077 V1, that is equal to 3.07 V1. String efficiency is equal to voltage across the string by N into voltage across the unit near the conductor. That is equal to 3.07 times V1 upon 1.077 V1 into 3. This will be equal to 95%. Dear students, now we will take up the last method of improving the string efficiency, that is by means of using conducting gauges. To understand what is conducting glaze, let us consider here one insulating unit and its equivalent electrical circuit. Here is mutual capacitance of the unit, and here is the capacitance between metal link of insulator and the cross arm. If there are many units connected in series, we will be having such part of the electrical circuit below the one considered here in this way. We know that the currents flowing through all these mutual capacitances here are not equal. Because of unequal currents flowing through each of the unit here, the voltage across each unit will also be not equal. That is, uneven distribution of the voltage occurs. So to make these voltages equal across each unit, we have to make the currents flowing through each of the unit equal. For that, think of a resistance connected in parallel with capacitor here. First capacitor, resistance R1 in parallel. Second capacitor, resistance R2 in parallel. These R1, R2, R3 and so on, values should be so selected that the current flowing through each capacitor will become equal, and hence the voltage across each unit will become equal. And to implement the connection of such resistors, what is done is the surface of insulator unit is glazed with conducting material. That conducting material should have resistance equal to R1 for unit 1, resistance equal to R2 for unit 2 and so on. That means the current flowing through all the units are made equal by changing or by adjusting the leakage current flowing on the surface of the insulator. By providing there some appropriate resistance by means of glazing. But such a method is practically not possible because the permanent glaze cannot be provided. We may glaze, but after few days or months or years of time, the glaze will not be there on the surface of insulator. It will be peeled off. It will be peeled off. For this entire explanation, I have written the notes here. You can just copy down by pausing the video. Dear students, now I will start with the new chapter, that is transmission line parameters and performance. In one of the previous chapters, you have studied the typical structure of a power system. A power system consists of generator, transmission lines, and the load centers, etc. The main function of a transmission line is to transfer bulk amount of power to load centers We know that power is generated by generating stations, and that power is to be transferred to the load centers. For that purpose, we make use of transmission lines. And industrial users up to the primary distribution lines. The power is transmitted up to the primary distribution line of the industrial areas only because the industries are high voltage consumers. A transmission system consists of towers, conductors. Towers here means the supporting structure for the conductors and insulators. Switching and converting stations. Transmission systems are usually interconnected due to economic, security and reliability reasons. The meaning of economics we will understand now, and at the maximum reliability also you can understand, but to understand security you will have to first study the power system analysis subject, and that subject you will be studying in higher semesters. Economic means what? If we interconnect the transmission systems, the overall cost of the transmission systems will become less, right? It is always necessary to supply the consumers continuously. In case of any fault, if some part of the transmission system is kept out of the service, then the power to the consumers may be supplied through other route in the interconnected system, which ensures continuous supply of power to the consumers. Then consumers will have belief on the power system that even in the case of faults also, I will not be disconnected from the power system. I will be getting the power continuously. More the belief consumers have on the power system, we say more is the reliability of the power system, right? In this chapter mainly we will be concentrating on the conductors used in transmission systems. The conductors used in transmission systems must meet certain requirements. What are those requirements? First one is less resistance. Second one is low weight. high tensile strength, low cost, low coefficient of thermal expansion, if conductor fulfills all these requirements, then that conductor is said to be very good conductor. But practically we do not get a material for conductor which can satisfy all these requirements. Generally, aluminum conductors are used in transmission systems because the aluminum conductors have got the following properties. Normally, the aluminum conductors are used in transmission systems. In transmission systems. The aluminum conductors have the following advantages. First one, aluminum is low weight, as you all know. It has got high conductivity. And its cost is less. So you can write low cost. Also, the aluminum conductor has got certain disadvantages. The disadvantages of aluminum conductors are low tensile strength, that means they break down at less load. They got high coefficient of thermal expansion. Large area. Thus, high wind pressure in comparison with the copper, the resistivity of aluminum is higher. To provide same resistance per unit length to the aluminum conductor as that of copper conductor, its cross-sectional area must be increased. If the cross-sectional area increases, its surface area also increases, and hence it will be subjected to higher wind pressure. So these are the disadvantages of aluminum conductors. I will continue in next class. Thank you.